Thank you, I hope that was on YouTube. Thank you. This guitar actually is in tune. It's me that's not in tune. Which is a good metaphor for the whole thing, isn't it? The guitar is fine. You know that thing when you meet 6 assholes in a row on the street, you're probably the asshole. The guitar is fine. I'd like to dedicate this song to a wonderful, wonderful man in my life, somebody who I miss deeply and somebody who I care deeply for, a man called Danny Sheehy from West Kerry, wonderful poet and wonderful fisherman and wonderful writer. I want to sing this song for him, a song I wrote it, it's a funny thing to say you wrote a tribute song for someone while they were still alive, but I did. Danny always said, well, it'll be the whiskey or the water that gets me. About 3 years ago, actually in 2016, so 3 years ago, I was standing in a venue in Ireland, standing next to my friend Brendan Begley, wonderful, wonderful, big, strong, powerful genius of a man. And he was on the phone and he was getting some bad news on the phone. What? Oh God, really? What, really? And he turned to me and he said, hang on a second. He said, do you want to go on a boat, Glen? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, we've got it sorted, I'll call you tomorrow. And he hung up. And it turned out he was on the phone to Danny, the man I'm singing this song for, and a member of the crew up there. They were on this crazy spiritual voyage on a tiny Irish curragh. A curragh is basically a small fishing boat. I mean, to put it in American terms, it looks like a canoe. It's probably from that speaker there to that speaker there. 4 of us. And Brendan said, great, you're going to really enjoy this. And I said, what is it? He said, well, it's about 5 weeks and we'll be on the North Atlantic. And we'll be rowing in this traditional Irish boat. We're doing the Camino de Santiago. And I was like, fuck. Should I train? He said, no training. Don't worry about training, don't worry. I've seen you play concerts. You play long, it's okay. He said, you're just about old enough. And I kind of took offense, I don't know why, but I was like, what do you mean am I just about old? Well, he said, young men want to get there, and older men want to be there. And he said, so with the boat, you need to just be happy to be there. Because there are days when it'll go 10 hours more than you thought it would. And you just need to be okay with that. And it was wonderful for me, I have to say, folks, probably the most important thing I've ever done, apart from just picking up a guitar and learning how to play songs and learning how to be a musician. This was the one thing that came to me in my life where I was like, oh my God, this has changed me. It changed the way I approach music, it changed the way I approach my band. For the longest time, I guess I was, when I was a kid, I was the leader of a gang, and when I grew up, I joined a band, and of course, I quickly became the leader of a band through writing, but also just kind of, white knuckling it, just kind of holding onto the steering wheel and saying, no, things have to go this way. No, we're going this way, and not listening to people, and just doing that classic thing of kind of just going your own way. And it served me well, I have to say. I'm very happy about that in a lot of ways. But this thing. And when I went on the boat, I know I'm going on now, but there's something to it. When I was on the boat, I was, of course, not only the youngest person on the boat, but the most inexperienced, which gave me absolutely no say. And it was an incredible experience for me to be on the boat with these experienced fishermen who knew what they were doing. And when the seas got rough, they knew how to handle it. When I was panicking and saying we should have some flares on this boat, they were saying, we should have an engine in case something goes wrong. They were like, so life jackets. We had life jackets, yeah, but we did have life jackets, but they were never worn. Well, they were worn. They were worn in certain moments when things got really rough. But there's a thing with Irish fishermen, and it's probably the same with fishermen everywhere. Forgive me for saying Irish fishermen; it's just all fishermen. That if you fall into the sea takes you, and that's that. Fishermen don't learn how to swim. they refuse to learn how to swim. They just decide that if ever you end up in there, that's that. And in Danny's case, it was true. He ended up in the water, and that was that. He died, and so it was a huge loss and a huge friendship but there was 3 rules on the boat, and Danny was the captain. Even though there was no captain, he always said, "There's no captain on this boat." There was a captain. It was Danny, because he was the spiritual captain of the boat. He was the man who every morning before we left, he would pray, and he would quietly pray. And even though some of the other guys on the boat weren't that interested in all that stuff, he would be like, "Right, we can go now, lads." And we'd go out, and we'd go out around 6:30 in the morning. We'd row for about 2 hours, and then we'd stop for a cup of tea. And and there was some days that were quite rough on the sea. But he had 3 rules. He said, no money, no beds, and no complaining. So the no money bit was the hardest. I think in a way, the hardest for me to get my head around. No beds made sense because we were camping, and it was, we were going back to some older tradition. We were camping. But the crazy thing was, every single day that we pulled into a harbour, all these tiny harbour towns along the coast of Spain, the coast of northern Spain, Galicia, Cantabria, Asturias, most of the kind of more Celtic parts of the north of Spain. We pull into these tiny villages, and people would see us, fishermen who were offloading their boats, would see this tiny, basically a wicker basket with a pair of jeans pulled over and painted black. They would see us kind of rowing into town, and they would say, "You came from Ireland in that?" And the lads would be like, "Yeah." And they would open their doors to us, they would feed us, they would give us wine, they would give us whiskey. Their wives would cook these beautiful paellas. We would sit in these wonderful homes in a country we'd never been to, with a language we don't have. And we would have the most incredible hospitality, and then we'd all go down to the pub, and of course we had instruments. So the instruments would come out, and of course we never paid for a thing. So no money really worked. And at no point during the whole journey from West Kerry to Dublin, from Dublin to England, from England to Wales, from Wales to Brittany down the coast of France to Spain to A Coruña, where they then took the boat out of the water and walked to Santiago with it. At no point did anyone ever take out their passport or show it to anybody. So we're traveling in an older time. Fascinating experience, I have to say. But anyway, so I want to sing this for Danny and his family. Whenever Danny was handed a glass of whiskey in a bar in Spain, he would hold it up and he would say in Irish, he would say, "Is tú me chadad, is tú me náwad, is minicadar is mir éad a clom, a canishas rude, go willen tú cogarad do me grouse, sheer a yor a yawn the phone." Which roughly translates as, "You are my friend, you are my enemy. You have often left me with little clothes. But now that you're so close to my cranky mouth, back you go, you divot, with pleasure." So, wherever Danny is now, cheers, brother. Leave a light on in your lonely window, and the heart felt welcome in your eyes. From far away on the deep black ocean, you're the one I'll come back to find and say goodbye to the long cold winter, and farewell to all we've left behind, and leave a light on and come out of the shadows. Yes, you're the one I'll come back to find. And sing the song that your mother taught you, of the gypsy heart that never rests, and wait a while for the arms that once held you, and pull them close into your breast, and say goodbye to the long cold winter, and farewell to all we left behind, and leave a light on and come out of the shadows. Yes, you're the one I'll come back to find. Yes, you're the one I'll come back